everyone, welcome to Weaning Week, and today's workshop, as has already been said, is about finger foods and snacking. My name's Lucy Thomas. I'm a feeding expert. I set up a company called Mange2Kids in 2005. I'm also a brand ambassador for Organics, and I'm going to be taking you through some tips and ideas related to finger food and snacking, and also perhaps a way to approach it to make it a little bit fun. And also we'll be weaving in some of the wonderful organics finger foods and snacks, which I'm sure many of you are already familiar with, or if you're not perhaps at that stage yet, I'm sure you've seen them around as well. So are we ready to start, Zena? Am I okay to launch in now? Yeah? I can't hear you because you're muted, but that's okay.
Sorry about that. I was just taking a swig of coffee and I didn't want anyone to listen to me gulp it down. Yeah, I think we've still got people coming in as I talk, Lucy, but if you want to just do your thing, and I'll just keep admitting people as you go through, as there's always the case with these things. So yeah, just take it away.
Okay, great, super. So today we are talking about finger foods and snacking, and I think one thing I just want to try and make clear at the beginning is if I mention finger foods, obviously I'm covering everybody, but finger foods are mainly when I'm talking about babies, and snacks is when I'm talking about toddlers, so 12 months plus. And the reason for that is because obviously babies don't really snack. Babies have their milk and then they start their weaning process, and part of that weaning process involves finger foods. But as children get to 12 months old and above, their milk intake will reduce, and so in order to get their full nutrition, snacks are advisable to fill the gaps where perhaps it's not being reached with their milk, which at 12 months is up to a pint a day, with their meals, 3 meals and 2 nutritious snacks. So we're going to be covering finger foods for babies and snacks for toddlers as well. And as you can see today, I'm surrounded by the wonderful organics products, which I'm sure you're familiar with. As a mum myself, I've got 2 girls, and I think I always found snacking a little bit of a minefield, mainly because I was always on the go, and as a mum you are, and you always want to provide healthy, nutritious finger foods or snacks for your babies and children. And I think what I always fell into the trap of is that I never really kind of knew where to go in terms of, oh, do I take some fruit and vegetables with me, or do I grab an on-the-go snack, and if so, what do I choose? Because when you stand in the supermarket aisle, sometimes it can just be a huge wash of information. It's difficult to know. So for me as a mum, the Organics No Junk Promise, which to me was, you know, it wasn't just a promise, it was a stamp of reassurance to me as a mum, and also as a feeding expert, that it was a brand that I could trust. And because Organics don't add any unnecessary ingredients to their snacks and finger foods, and everything was organic, and I was bringing both my girls up on an organic diet, then for me it was a no-brainer. And also, I guess what we need to talk about today is our baby's precious palates. And as I'm sure you're all aware, and you're all going through whichever level of weaning or stage you're at, is that we're desperately trying to protect our babies and children's precious palates, because as soon as anything unnecessary like added ingredients such as salt and sugar are added, what that then does is that then creates the foundations of what we want them to carry on is not being impacted by added salt or sugar. Because what we do feed our little ones in the first early stages of weaning does impact their eating, their feeding as they go along. And the reason I want to link in here, for me, what I found really, really valuable as a mum was that as a feeding expert, I always came across parents struggling with their children who wouldn't eat perhaps green vegetables. So, you know, the bitter vegetables, the brassicas, the cauliflower, the broccoli, but also green things like peas, which can be a challenge as well. So what I want to do is to show you today a few tips and examples of how you can use snack time or finger food time as a way to encourage your baby or your child to explore and enjoy the more bitter foods, because we all know that babies are born with a preference for sweet from breast milk. And similarly, when we're weaning, fruits are naturally sweet. So these are quite easy snacks that babies and children would happily opt for. And what I'm trying to say is that it's a really great opportunity when you're having a snack time or a finger food weaning time to use that to your advantage, to give your baby or your toddler the opportunity to explore perhaps the less liked foods, such as the green vegetables. So I've got some here today, and I'm just going to show you here. And something that is also really important is to make it fun, and popping our finger foods and our snacks on our baby's high chair or on a plate nearby for them to interact with is sorry, I'm just smiling because Mary's little one there is just looking so intently at me. I just want to give a wave. Hello. I'm sorry. There by broccoli. Now, these are the brassicas that are quite bitter, which if you offer to your baby during, my internet connection is unstable. Can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit there, Lucy. We just missed a small bit. You were having a conversation with Mary's baby, so I think she was the only one who was upset with that.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to carry on, you're fine.
Thank you. I've got my plate of vegetables here. So this is perhaps an option for thinking about finger food time, but it's also a great time for toddlers who perhaps might be finding bitter vegetables a little bit challenging. So I've got my cauliflower here, and I've got my broccoli. So these are my two brassicas, which are the bitter foods. And something that you can do is, I was talking about yesterday on one of the other workshops, is singing. And so obviously the reason I've chosen cauliflower is because once it's steamed, it's very soft, it's very malleable, it's very bumpy to feel, it's easy to hold on to. And it also, once a bit does break off when it's steamed, it does break down I can actually crush it in my fingers there. And something that you can do at a finger food time or a snack time is to make it fun by singing. So I'm going to give you an example of something fun you could do. And the important thing again is modeling to your baby. So you're sitting at the table or opposite them with them sitting safely. And I've got a cauliflower. So I might sing something like, can you kiss a cauliflower, a cauliflower, a cauliflower? Can you kiss a cauliflower? Now, you all probably think I've gone crazy now, kissing my cauliflower. But believe me, if you are sitting there with your baby, then that gives them instantly, when it's finger food time, not just the opportunity to pick it up and throw it on the floor and see where it falls, but it's an opportunity for them to copy what you're doing. And because you're smiling and you're having fun and you're singing and you're kissing a cauliflower, then your baby or even your toddler might say, oh, you think, oh, I don't want to pick that up. But as soon as you're singing about kissing a cauliflower, you're engaging your baby in a much more fun finger food time. And similarly, with something like broccoli, and I was doing this yesterday in one of our workshops, is broccoli is tickly and it tickles me. So you can show your baby your tongue and you can say, tickle, tickle, broccoli. Tickle, tickle, broccoli. Tickle, tickle, broccoli. Broccoli tickles me. And what you can also do when you're doing these bitter foods, the reason we're making it fun is because they are bitter foods. They are not the foods that are particularly genuinely liked initially by babies and young children. They need to learn to like them. So what we need to do is make that fun, relaxing, and not popping those down and just hoping that they might tuck into them. And something that I really champion to do with organics is these wonderful jars that they've got at the moment that have come out. And here I've got just broccoli, quinoa, sweet corn, and olive oil. And the thing I want to point out about this, which is why I love these jars so much, is that they are not disguised with anything sweet. So a lot of other products on the market at the moment in puree form tend to perhaps disguise the taste of broccoli and peas with pear or apple. And what that's really doing is, for your baby's palate, is that it's disguising the bitter taste of these pungent vegetables by adding in that apple and pear. And I just, personally, especially from a feeding expert point of view, really do champion these vegetable jars because they're not hiding anything and they're not adding in a fruit there to try and disguise it. So you could actually use something like this for a matching pair at a finger food time. And similarly, you could use it for older babies as well, especially if they're not perhaps engaging much with the bitter vegetables. And you could take some of this puree and you could match it, because there is broccoli in here. You could match it with the steamed broccoli you've got, and you can do some dipping. And you could take your broccoli, and I'm not going to do it right now because I'll be very hard to speak with it all over my face. But if you have dipped, you can paint your own lips using your broccoli toothbrush. Toothbrush is a paintbrush. Using your broccoli paintbrush, you can dip and you can paint your lips. And then help your baby as well to take their piece of broccoli and to dip it in to your puree, and they can perhaps brush it on their lips. Maybe use a mirror. A mirror is a really brilliant thing, finger food time or snack time, is to have a little tiny mirror there, or a bigger mirror you can stand up, and for your baby to see, what will they do? Will they put their broccoli and dip it in and rub it all over their face? Maybe their hands might go into the puree and eventually across their face, and because babies are always putting their hands in their mouth, it's a great opportunity. Again, we're talking about a fun moment here, a wonderful moment for babies to really explore. And for also, I think what's really important that I found difficult as a mum, especially the first time round, was to relax about food, which is ironic because I'm a feeding expert, but when it was my own child, I found it really, really an anxious, stressful time. And so snack time for me provided that moment where I wasn't really concerned about whether Molly was going to, how much she was going to eat from my defrosted cubes of puree, or how much I put on her finger food plate, how much she had. Because if I was doing it when it was a finger food snack time, then I could relax a bit more as well. I think the other important thing as well is when we're modelling for our babies and our children is to make sure that we have got something to eat as well. Because as mums, we do need to refuel. And refueling really is a time for you to sit down and be with your baby, offer them the finger foods or the snack foods that you've got, but for you to eat as well. And my favourite all-time snack, and it still is now, I finished a workshop yesterday and I grabbed a pot of hummus and I had, what did I have? I had some of these, the wonderful organic melty carrot puffs. And so when I was weaning my girls, they would have some of those with some carrot puree or a little bit of hummus, and I would sit there opposite them in the high chair, and I would sit and eat my crudité hummus and the organic carrot puffs as well. So make sure that finger food and snack time is a time for you as a mum to refuel as well. The other thing that's great to do with our vegetables, and again, I'm talking about vegetables as an opportunity to explore at finger food and snack time, mainly because they are the less palatable foods, and it's just a really great time to be offering them to your baby without you feeling the stress and pressure that they've got to eat it. And it's a great way of exploring and simply sitting with some peas and sweet corn and sprinkling them so your baby can see them falling, but they can also hear them falling on the plate. And immediately what that's going to do is grab their attention. And so the other thing we're trying to encourage as well is our pincer grip. So peas are a brilliant one. You only have to maybe put 2 or 3 on their tray, and they will have such fun going around using their pincer grip to try and grasp them, and sweet corn as well. If you are doing some other vegetables first, like the bitter brassicas, it's a good idea to do those first because the peas and the sweet corn are actually sweet. Now, as you can, I don't know if you can see on my t-shirt today who I've got on my t-shirt, but I've actually got Veggie, I think his name's Reggie Veggie, because he looks like a peacock made of veggie sticks, and he's on these fantastic melty veggie sticks. And as I was speaking earlier about protecting the precious palates of our babies and children, the fantastic thing about these veggie sticks is that they actually contain, you probably know of another similar snack on the market, but these actually contain 98% less salt than another leading brand of veggie sticks. And so I really, really rate these. And the great thing is the ingredients in these are actually, the main ingredients are dried pea and dried corn. And so it's a great way of really, if you're offering something like this as a finger food snack, and these are suitable from 7 months, so you might be doing something like a pea puree dip. So again, this is talking about matching things together. So you have got your actual peas here on your snack food plate. And again, if you've got a 12-month-old or older who again is perhaps not particularly fond of the little green balls, you can simply ask them to use their pincer grip and pop them onto the plate for you into another bowl, and that way they are exploring their snack. They might not be eating it, but they're exploring it. But also, if you've got your baby or your toddler, these fantastic organics veggie sticks, which I say are made from peas and corn, are great to mix and match. So you've got your peas, you might have some pea puree, and you've got your pea veggie sticks. And that's a fantastic way of having a matching food for your snack time. And again, modelling as well. So even if you're using your pincer grip, you can pop your peas in your mouth. Incidentally, the reason I talk about peas is because a lot of children I see who are older, who I see through my feeding clinic, parents often say, oh, they don't, oh, sorry, I've just got something come up on my screen and it's popped up and it's blocking the way. It's because peas actually fall into 3 different textures, well, 2 textures, but they break into 3 parts. If you take one pea and you squash it, you end up with the skin, which is like a husk, and you end up with 2, I'll put one on my tongue, there you go, a little green spot on my tongue. They end up with 2 little split peas as well. So when babies, toddlers, children eat a pea, it breaks into lots of different fragments in your mouth, and that's actually quite difficult to control, which is why it's so essential when you're using peas at snack time for them to explore, even if they're only squashing them, is they can see what the texture of a pea is like. Because quite often I come across parents who hiding their peas in some mashed potato, and then a child can find a pea hidden in mashed potato. So it's a really great opportunity during snack and finger food time to bring out the vegetables, because they are not necessarily the first port of call when you're thinking about finger foods and snacks. And here I've got something here, which are my wonderful sunglasses. They're not really my sunglasses. They are my slices of courgette, which have been steamed, which create a wonderful pattern on the front with all the seeds. And when we're having snack time, it's really important we're giving our babies the opportunity to explore a variety of textures and colours and a hands-on experience. So something like a steamed courgette goes very easily onto your finger, like a ring, like this, of which your baby might suck their finger, or they might take a great big bite into it. It's very, very soft, but also courgettes are really sweet. So again, you're offering something that's green. We're making the green, I know I'm making green a familiar theme today, but it's often the one thing which is perhaps not always accepted by babies and children. So we've got our courgette there. Now, the other way of introducing foods at snack time, as well as I've got a tomato here, is linking foods. So you've got your tomato here, and you can show your baby a tomato, you can show your toddler a tomato, and they can have a feel of the tomato. And again, we're using this as a snack and a finger food time for fun. So you might roll your tomato to your baby, and they might pick it up. You might smell it, and you can sing, roll, 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 tomato, roll it to and fro, tomato, tomato, gently as we go. And instantly your baby at finger food or snack time is going to be engaged with the tomato. You might think it's a ball, they might want to hold it, they might squash it, and you could offer them some tomato slices. And the great reason I was talking about offering a variety of textures is because tomatoes have the skin and the flesh and the seeds and the juice. So as soon as your baby is handling a tomato, and they might squeeze it, or your toddler might bite into it during snack time, and experiencing all those different textures in their mouth is just a brilliant way of then linking snack time with a meal time. Also, when I was talking about matching pairs earlier, there is I think his name is Tommy Tomato. I might have got that wrong, but he's Tommy Bear, I think. And again, another wonderful snack from Organics, which does include actual real tomato, no unnecessary hidden ingredients in these snacks. And these are suitable from 10 months. So the veggie sticks that I was talking about with the peas and the corn in are from 7 months. And these lovely tomato noughts and crosses are from 10 months. And again, it's about combining your snacks so that you have got an on-the-go snack, but you've also got a natural food as well. Now, something that I was talking about yesterday, I've got some carrots here. I've got some carrot batons that have been steamed, and making this fun for your baby and your toddler at snack time. Again, like modeling, so you're always doing what you'd like to see your baby doing and showing that it's fun as well, is that we were talking yesterday about how we, rather than asking our babies and children to eat things or just passing them to them on their tray and expecting them to interact with them, is we can take them and we can do some different things like using our senses. So we can see it's orange, but we can do some teeth or gum brushing. So you can show your baby or your toddler and say, this is the way we brush our teeth and brush our gums and brush our teeth. This is the way we brush our teeth and our healthy gums. And if you're there going, ah, and cheese, your baby's going to want to reach out and grab one and join in too. Remember to always watch your baby, even if you're using steamed carrots, or maybe you're using the lovely melty carrot puffs, which are fantastic for dipping as well. And the other thing that you can also do is thinking about your day in general, is that offering tastes to your baby and thinking about finger food time and snack time doesn't always have to be something that you've prepared. So if you've got maybe you've got a glass of sparkling water with a slice of lemon in it, wouldn't that be lovely right now? If you had that, you could take the slice of lemon out, or the slice of orange. I've got orange here, and you can offer it to your baby to have a lick or a sip of. Or perhaps if they're having their baby rice or their baby porridge, you could think about perhaps sprinkling a little bit of cinnamon into it. These little taste experiences and these little wonder moments don't always have to just be focused on it being a finger food or a snack time. The other thing I wanted to mention was on organics. You can go and visit the organics page, and they have these wonderful fun food plates where they take some of their snacks and some of the natural finger foods, like I've got carrots here and slices of apple and tomato, and they make these wonderful pictures, not dissimilar to like Reggie on my t-shirt here, but they make these beautiful snack plates, fun plates, which are wonderful for older children to see, but also for babies, and it's fun for us, something therapeutic for us to do as well. So I just wanted to direct you there as well. I just wondered if we wanted to pause there in case anybody had any questions at all.
Yep, if anyone wants to put their hand up, ask any questions. Or
just see if I can turn some up. Sorry. Let me just have a bit more sound. Okay.
Can you hear us okay now, Lucy?
Yes, I've got a bit more sound now.
Okay, so we've got a question come in from Sarah Donaldson, and Sarah says, do you have any tips for starting to introduce finger food and which foods to start with? If I have a severe fear of choking, which is stopping me from being able to introduce finger foods. So that's quite interesting.
Right, okay, so I think the most important thing, and I do totally empathise with this, because with my first baby I did puree weaning, and second time round I did do baby-led weaning, and I completely empathise with the choking. I think what's really important is to begin with bite dissolve foods. So bite dissolve foods are a food that your baby can bite into that will dissolve in their mouth. So I'm sure you've come across the melty carrot puffs and these kind of snacks, and you can actually introduce these as a solid snack food with a puree for dipping. Also, you could think about other dips like a bean dip or a yogurt dip or something like a hummus that you can use the bite dissolve foods with, so that they are taking a food in their mouth which breaks down very easily. If you're worried about things like choking, obviously you would avoid more solid things, like you wouldn't use slices of apple, but something like little pieces of steamed pear, when they are cooked, they are very, very, your baby would actually be able to squash them between their tongue and their roof of their mouth or through their gums. So it's using softer fruits, but also something like broccoli. If you actually really steam your broccoli, the florets on the end of them, actually, even if I do this with something I've steamed, you end up actually with a puree almost the second that it will touch your baby's mouth. And if you wanted to add a little bit more, a few more calories to that, then you could use something like soft cheese, or like I said, hummus before, or combine it with a jar of puree as well. So think bite dissolved foods, but also foods that break down easily. Something that I use with my girls is a pancake base. So you've got your egg, flour and milk, and to make pancakes and to add in something like a banana, which breaks down a lot more so that they can suck on those. Or you could break them into tiny little pieces and use their pincer grip, or they could you could spoon it on put it on a fork for them so that they could take it into their own mouth, and it's only a small amount which will soften with saliva quite quickly. So thinking of bite dissolved foods, it's very, very well cooked vegetables and steamed fruit that in tiny little pieces will keep that interesting for your baby, if that helps.
That's super, thanks. Any other questions? I can see Danica's got her hand up there. Oh.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. What age, if there is an answer to that, or weight or whatever, do you start offering snacks as well as meals? I mean, before they can use their words to tell you they're hungry, and if you're breastfeeding, often they obviously breastfeed for lots of reasons apart from just being hungry. And at what point would you start to offer snacks as well as meals?
I think the differentiation, the reason I said at the beginning is about finger foods and snacks, is we tend to use the phrase snacks for children over 12 months because that is when they are having 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Maybe they won't be necessarily eating them all, and you top their nutrition up with a morning snack and an afternoon snack. Now, for babies, it's most important that they have their milk, and the weaning experience every time that you're doing it can be a finger food, or it can be the puree. But it's best not to think about babies having a snack, because I think obviously if you're breastfeeding, you would probably opt to feed your baby, and you might have your moments in your day when you think, I'm going to do some weaning now, and perhaps at one point it might be some finger food with puree. Another time it might be something simple like a rice cake, because if you're thinking, oh, well, they've just had a feed and they're still a bit grumbly, it might actually be teething. And so sometimes you can think about a finger food as being something to help with their gums and their teething if they're perhaps not settling. You think, well, they can't be that hungry. And if your baby was older at 12 months, you might think, oh, well, it's halfway between lunch and dinner, I'll give them a snack. If it's your baby, it might be good to think of it as an opportunity to offer them something to explore that perhaps will also not necessarily distract them, but will give them another focus. So you could give them a rice cake or a piece of fruit or vegetable, but maybe not to think of it as a snack for your baby, just another experience, another learning experience. And once their milk reduces at 12 months, to think about it as snacks then, if that's helpful.
Okay, yeah, we have got another question from Susie this time. And she asks, I think you've kind of explained this in the past question there, but she just says, what age should you add snacks alongside the 3 meals?
Yeah, but I think 12 months is a recommended time at which you really do go into perhaps a meal planning mode, if you like, and you're giving your baby their milk, but they're also having their breakfast, lunch and dinner. And that is because once you get to 12 months, your baby's milk intake should be reducing, and the guidelines are for your baby at 12 months to only need a pint of milk, so 500 mils of milk a day, which includes whatever they're eating in milk. So that 500 mils could be included in yogurt or cheese, as well as any milk feeds they're having at the start and the end of the day. So at 12 months, I would recommend introducing snacks, and before 12 months, you continue to give your baby their milk requirements, and their weaning experience is all about obviously having those extra, it's that taste window to make sure you're getting the flavors in, and also the different textures and doing the things that I've explained today, but to really think about it as finger foods and purees and experiences, and then regimented snacks from 12 months onwards.
Anyone else with any questions? Okay, well, thanks very much, Lucy. You've explained that not all snacks have to be beige, which was interesting for me, for sure, because that's what I opt for every time. But if everyone wants to get hold of you afterwards, not in this group chat, how can they reach you?
Sure, they can reach me at www.mange2kids.com, and they'll be able to email me there any other questions. And also through organics.com as well.
Okay, that's super. Don't forget, guys, to catch up with Weaning Week on social media throughout the evening, and hook up with us again tomorrow for more weaning workshops. Also, you can jump in on our Twitter chat that we're doing, so you'll be able to reach us in many different ways. Have a look at the recipes that are on the website. There's loads there that have all been curated for you, so you've got loads of ideas. And thank you very much for everyone for coming. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much. And thanks, Lucy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.